dumbing down issues effectively.
Right, right. Yeah. So tapos I want to add that pag tinignan mo yung marami pang repercussions or backlash na nangyari doon sa Senate hearing beyond the Senate hearing itself when they found out nga because of Grijaldo yung ginawa niyang statement niya na pinilit daw siya ni Dan Fernandez at ni Congressman Abante na magsalita. And if you watch that Karen
Yes, nakita ko
Davila
yun.
interview, that was interesting.
Can we break that down? Okay, so let's be systematic. What are the talking points you have seen? Kasi one of the talking points I've seen is, nakita nyo, rockstar pa rin si Tatay Digong, payala. So that's one talking point. So obviously
Mm.
this is operation, right? Pangalawa, pangalawang oplan, sinasabi na scripted daw yung Quadcom. Meron silang bagong term sa Quadcom, di ba? Parang just to make fun na ito ay scripted din daw, na yung questions daw ay ready na. So we are beginning to see anong script nila eh. May script na sila eh. May script na yung troll farms
Yep.
nila. So can we break those down? So
Yeah,
from
sure.
what
So with regards, so you want to talk about muna yung Digong being the rock star, that he killed it and ang galing daw niya that he slayed that Senate hearing. Honestly, I've already said my piece on this one na the Senate hearing will not amount to anything under Coco Pimentel. Because a video I did, I talked about it, was because they never had a clear objective of what they were trying to find out in the Senate hearing. They basically just said, we are doing the Senate hearing to investigate the war on drugs. That's not a goal. That's a mission statement. That's what you're going to do.
tick the
But
box?
what are you trying to find out? Wala. Kaya dahil doon, walang pagtutunguhan to Senate hearing na to. But Chisa Escudero did just say today that they are now making the records public, the transcripts public, and if the ICC, including the ICC, if they did request for a certified true copy, they will be provided one.
Na-forward na
So,
daw ni Trillanes eh. Trillanes
ah,
na-forward nila. So they don't have, and ICC made a statement that they very closely follow. I mean, literally, they said closely follow yung hearing na yan. So I think there was enough self-incriminating stuff out there. So whatever Kutzpa, Baragadocho, Pogi points Duterte made to his, I don't know, base, I think there was also enough out there to put him into trouble. But speaking of Quadcom and other people who could come in, what is your read in terms of discussions and all? Do you think Quadcom can come in? Do you think they're preparing to
So
come in?
I
I
think
saw Abante
that
Fernandez
the
statement.
mistake that Benny Abante did and si Dan Fernandez is that they did speak with Grijaldo off outside of the hearing. Now,
Kaya yun yung talking points ng kabila.
yes, pero honestly, if you look at Grijaldo naman, they didn't really need to talk to him or anything. Pero they did talk to him because sinabi lang ni Garma, kausapin niyo si Grijaldo, tanong niyo sa kanya kung totoo sinasabi ko. That's all it was. So they were just confirming it. Although if you look at it on a parang
Optics eh. Pangit optics.
ethical perspective, medyo parang unethical yon. And dun sila tinira ni Karen Davila. And kudos to Karen Davila that at least she's hard-hitting either way. And I think this makes the Quadcom be more careful with their
Sloppy.
actions moving forward. I I don't think they had ill intentions when they did that. I think they slipped. They weren't. They were maybe they got a little bit sloppy. But now they're back on their toes because of what happened, and they're gonna keep going. Now, ang tanong natin dito ay pupunta ba si Duterte sa Quadcom? What
Pupunta
do you
siya,
think?
they know how to trash talk Duterte. I think if you trash talk Duterte enough, yung hamunin mo siya, uy, duwag ka, gusto mo lang pag andun si Bato eh, andun si... I mean, I think if they do enough of that, eventually Duterte will show up. So they have to be good in trash talking Digong. That's gangster si Digong eh. So you have to trash talk them. O the Quadcom, ako naman napansin ko, may learning curve sila. Hindi lang Quadcom, generally yung mga nasa kongreso. Kasi naalala mo si Joel Chua, yung first time na nag-chair siya, kinain siya ni Sarah, 'di ba? Bamboozled siya ni Sarah nung nagbasa siya sa text na, "Why are you even talking to me like that? I'm just a witness. I'm not your whatever gonna." But over time, in fairness, si Congressman Joel Chua, I think improved. Si Dan Fernandez, nung una, pakit-pakit lang kay
Hmm.
Cassandra Ong, yung mga ganyan. And then, so I think there's a learning curve also. And barbers and all, I've been doing pretty decently, not to mention Abante and, a couple of other Gutierrez, a couple of other good guys there. So I think there's a learning curve there. So because this is unprecedented, right? We never had a situation whereby, you're investigating a former president for mass murder, essentially, right? I mean, this never happened in Philippine history. Corruption, yes. Irregularity, yes. But this is completely next level stuff. So I'm not giving like too much excuse. I'm not trying to apologize for his sloppiness, but I think it's quite understandable considering how the stakes are high. But ako, para sa akin, trash talk niya si Digong. Aggressive din dapat
Yeah.
kayo para si Digong. Talagang sabi, oy, duwag ka lang. Gusto mo lang bato lang. Tapos pagtawanan niya si Bato. Ganun. Dapat ganun eh. Because that's the only way to get Duterte's attention. You're not gonna get his attention with regular rhetoric and formalities and all.
Yeah, and then I wanted to add, actually, just going back to the Senate pala, naalala ko lang that it was very disappointing for me that a lot of the other senators decided to just be absent. 'Di ba? Like, I mean, I understand they're
Safe.
maybe scared for their political careers, or they just didn't want to have to face Duterte, whatever. They're from sina Sherwin Gatchalian to sina JV Ejercito to ang dami, my Grace Poe. There's so many of them that should have showed up that they didn't show up. And
JV
that's
said something
why,
like, let's just end it na kasi political yun, di ba? I was slightly not, I mean, to be honest, I was not very impressed. I was like,
yeah,
I buy that argument.
yeah,
So what if
and
it's
you know what?
political? It has to be done.
And I feel really bad for the victims. Kasi nga, nung pumunta sila doon, man, it's like you were victimized by these people. Sina Bato, yung mga police, sina Duterte, and now you have to recount your story for them to just slap it in your face and make you look like you're the one lying. That, no, you're wrong on this one. Wow,
De
ako na yung
Lima nga,
biktima.
ginanon, di ba? If Senator De
I
Lima was
felt I felt so bad for Delima. I mean, I hope that she's a very strong lady. She'll be fine. Pero I just felt so bad for her, and honestly, I'm sure there was trauma for her seeing Bato there, and and it took a lot of guts for her to show up there, knowing that Bato and Digong were the ones that persecuted her, and now she's being attacked again, 'di ba? Tapos si Jinggoy pa. Ayan,
Ba't kasi
lahat ng
si Shell
kalaban niya.
Joke na kasama niya, mabait masyado. Dapat
Well,
nagdala siya ng mga kabardagulan na kasama, yung magre-react na.
yes.
Kasi ang bait nila, Shell, nakaganyan lang sila. Like, no, bro, this is bardagulan.
That's one thing that I've always said nga about the senatorials, and one thing that I keep talking about. I really think talaga if a lot of these senatorials want to win, they need to show to be more controversial. They need to be more confrontational. They need to be willing to get out there and say what needs to be said, no matter who gets run over by those statements. If they don't do that, they're just gonna be wala silang impact. Nobody's gonna notice them. They're not gonna win with what they're doing now. They need to do something different. Filipinos generally love a strong persona. Kasi they would rather give that responsibility and accountability of what they say and do to that person eh. Kaya gusto nila yun eh. Kasi ayaw nila sila yun
They
eh.
want a champion. Yeah, they want a
They
champion.
do, exactly. The archetype, the archetypes that people cling to. That's an archetype they cling to because honestly, you know that a lot of Filipinos, unfortunately, I've said this, I tweeted about it. There's a lot of weak men out there. That's why there's a lot of strong leaders that come out that are being championed, like you said. So if these opposition leaders want to make a difference, man, they better come out swinging. Yun.
Yeah, we have a bit stronger. Yun nga, medyo our culture, partly Asian din kasi tayo, medyo diffident tayo. But I hope, with all of the shortcomings of the Senate, with all of yung mga kabalastugan na nakita natin, sana medyo mag-step up lahat, including yung mga opposition leaders. Sila dapat ang, kumbaga, let Lenny be that, like kind of mabait leader and all of that. But I think the rest have to really show a much more, pugnacious, if I can use that term. Hindi naman confrontation, pero pugnacious na palaban kasi yun talagang gusto ng taong bayan. Now, let's go to the last part of our discussion kasi baka sabihin nila, you just attack Trump and you just attack, DDS. Ayan. BBM naman, pag-usapan natin, guys. Baka naman, just in case, baka you forgot, we have a president called Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Kasi I think sometimes people forget he's our president. Balita ko, meron na naman siyang social event, parating ninong sa kasal, buti hindi na siya nag-Formula 1 Grand Prix this year. Tara buhay, no? Medyo relax-relax lang si BBM, no? Nothing crazy, nothing,
Alam mo with BBM my problem talaga with him is he is sobrang non-confrontational. He is the epitome of that not that strong a leader, unfortunately. But the only inadvertent good thing that happened because of his hands-off policy and being non-confrontational is that the government and his secretary, department heads are functioning and being the leaders that he needs. And there's this there's this study that they did on leadership, and this was interesting. If you look at Henry Ford Jr., when he took over Ford, people thought that he was dumb, he's not smart, he's not good enough to be able to lead the company. But why was he able to make Ford successful? Because all of his lieutenants, all of the people under him were so scared that he was going to mess it up that they have to make sure, guys, double up the work para hindi pumalpak tong si Henry Ford. Kailangan nating galingan. So they were doing it because they didn't want him to screw up. Inadvertently, by doing that, they made Ford so strong, the company. It's the same as what's happening here. With BBM, I'm just enjoying having fun. Bahala na kayo dyan. Then, all the lieutenants are now trying to pick up where, they're not getting enough orders here. They're just going to do it on their own. Kaya yun ang nangyayari sa Pilipinas ngayon. That's the good and the bad of it. I want to add this.
But what do you think about him getting the Remulla brothers essentially to run essentially the leash of the state, if I can put it that way? Like the ILG and DOJ, those are the two pangsampal mo, di ba? Giving it to Remulla brothers, hindi ba that shows that he wants to outsource it to the kind of a strong men figures, ganon, a big dynasty, big boys dynasty?
Well, si John Vic, I don't know. I haven't seen much from him, so I don't know if he's strong or not. I liked Abalos. I liked how Abalos dealt with a lot of the problems that we had in the government. Si Remulla naman, si Boying Remulla as DOJ is okay, but he hasn't really proven his mettle yet. Remember that all of these POGO things, it wasn't Boying Remulla, DOJ, that really spearheaded it. It was the PAOK that spearheaded it. Okay?
And
So
then
the
na lang sila
DOJ,
later.
absolutely, support lang sila. And if you think about it, the DOJ hasn't really done much at this point. The PNP is the one that got Kibuloy. All right? Not the DOJ. So the DOJ is going to just palang follow somebody's lead and just pursue from that point on. So like for example, ito, kasuhan na dapat si Digong. Are they gonna do it or not? I don't think so. Because the DOJ, I don't know why they have their tail between their legs, but I do have suspicions on certain issues and why they haven't been able to act. For example, I just want to add this. Yung issue with Bantag na hindi pa nila nahuhuli until today. Okay, I want you to think about this. Bantag is what religious sect? INC. Now, alalahanin mo, INC, Duterte went to visit the head of INC during their anniversary. Now, INC, their anniversary date is an official holiday. INC has a lot of power with the government. And it's got the ears of BBM and also of Duterte. And remember, Bantag is an INC. So, there's a problem there. And that's, I think, why hindi
And
pa
he's also
nahuhuli itong si
PMA.
Bantag.
He's also PMA. He's also PMA. That's why he has protection. That's what I've told. Like people know where he is in Cordilleras, if I'm not mistaken. But PMA graduate siya, so protektado daw eh.
Well, ako naman with regards to the PMA, I think it depends on the batch. I think batches are more loyal to their batch than they are to the overall academy. And that's where you saw naman with
I
the
mean,
problem.
his batch is taking care of him daw. Kasi yung batch niya,
sure, yeah, siguro.
senior na eh. He's like what, 50 plus na. So that's a senior group na. Senior na sila.
Yes. Oh, so and remember that when Duterte said that he wanted to get somebody from INC to implement the drug war, then people are wondering why INC is because Duterte knows INC police that are with the INC are untouchable, completely untouchable. And you think Kibuloy with the KOJC and the Angel of Death na army niya, that's dangerous. There's one with INC that's worse. That police of current
so maybe
police.
that's why BBM is, I mean, it's not about being conflict avoidant. It's about, beating your time because you're dealing with some very powerful figures. I mean, I don't want to use the word deep state. That would sound so Trumpish. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many powerful fraternities, groups,
Yes.
militias. So kung ikaw si BBM na wala kang sariling base na solid beyond solid north. Wala kang sariling tao. Bumaliktad sa'yo si Vic Rodriguez, kalatan ng dati mong kabinete. Yung kapatid mo si Aimee, malay ko ba nasaan na siya ngayon. Bumaliktad yung unity mo. Di ba? Medyo, again, I don't want to sound like oversympathetic, but it's lonely to be BBM too eh. Medyo kalaban mo, mga binabangga mo, medyo malalaking grupo eh.
Yeah, that's why it's important for him to have Martin Romualdez there. And and his wife, these are very strong figures that are actually, they're actually, orchestrating everything around him right now. Kaya nga, even with the pronouncement of VP Sara regarding the huhukayin daw yung tatay niya, man, if I was BBM, I'd be pissed. I'm sorry if
I
that was,
didn't like
you talk
BBM's
about
response. Yeah, bastos yan. Bastos yung ginawa. Dapat should have
sobrang
been.
bas. Absolutely. I mean, that's not even my dad. And I don't like Marcos. Pucha, pero somebody said that about my dad. To hell with you. Habulin talaga kita. You
I'm
know?
telling you, bro, Sarah, if there are more than 5 Ilocanos in an area, she shouldn't step into that area. I'm telling you, people are pissed off. All Ilocanos feel offended, even if you're not pro Marcos Sr. or not. Parang bastusan na to eh. Parang buong solid north ang binastos.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's the thing
crazy, yeah.
about the Dutertes I find, that they're good at trying to push the narrative that they want to talk about. Tayo naman, parang sheep, ito pag-usapan, ito sinabi niya, react naman tayong lahat doon. That's why I don't react to all of the things that I hear on social media that's being come out. Like an example, I just want to give you, like with the Pulong Duterte saying, magpa-follicle test tayong lahat. Pa-follicle test naman si Nograles. And then what? What did you achieve?
Bato daw, mga
What?
Policartes.
Nakakapagod lang kasi. Okay, nagawa na nila. Walang nagda-drugs. So ano na ngayon? Let's talk about policies. Does he show up to Congress or not? He doesn't. Has he passed anything? He didn't. What did he do with this 51 billion flood control project? Wala. So, yun ang pag-usapan natin.
Actually,
Ibalik
yung
natin
flood
ang
control,
usapan.
that's very important kasi nung 6 years ni Digong, that's where billions of dollars were spent on floodgates. So, ang akin lang, if you are DDS and attacking BBM on all of these projects, you have to be careful because a lot of this stuff were built during Digong. He was 6 years in power, for heaven's sake. You think these flood controls
Yep.
were over 1 year lang or 2 years? No, this is a decade long. Pero you're right, mahina naman yung response. I really don't understand. Like, ang daming butas yung argument ng mga DDS. Ang dami nilang vulnerabilities. But for some reason, hindi pa rin solid. I don't know, maybe now with Chavez, yung bagong PCO secretary, maybe who used to be chief of staff of ISCO. Magaling siya sa communication. So let's see if they can fight back properly. Kasi I just feel they're very good in formal politics, yung dealing with international community, businessman. Magaling si BBM sa ganun yung mga posh diplomacy. Pero itong bardagulan, yung polvoron, yung mga ganyan-ganyan, follicle test, dapat you give no quarters to these people. You fight back. Tara, mag-fentanyl test tayo. Dapat ganon. Tara, tara, tingnan natin ang floodgate control dyan sa Davao. Yung mga ganon. Ganon dapat. Hindi, it's not happening. Actually, it's the Lao and Pinks who are fighting back better. Right? It's people like us who are pointing out the gaps in the argument. So I just wonder what's going on. Baka naman nagpipiggy right sila sa atin. Parang, hindi na natin kailangan lumaban. Diyan naman si Daria. Nandiyan naman sila, di ba? Ronald Llamas, mga ganyan.
Yeah, pero that's exactly what I appreciate naman talaga with the BBM administration din, that now we speak out without fear. Unlike before, there was a veiled threat all around us. It was very difficult to speak out. I thought I was safe, and then people would always tell me, Chris, mag-ingat ka sa mga sinasabi mo. And I'm like, why? I mean, we still live in a democracy, last time I checked. Pero I understood that fear. And ngayon, with BBM, now people are able to speak out. And sa akin, that's one thing good he's doing now. I know people are saying, okay, that grabe, bias naman tong dalawang to. And, we're speaking one way or the other and not being completely neutral. Hey, nobody is neutral. Yun na sabi ko sa inyo ngayon. Sa akin mismo, I'm telling you, I am biased. I have my biases. I'm sure, bro, you have your biases then. And you may not agree with my bias, but you can definitely defend your bias if you want, as much as I'm defending it. With BBM, sa akin ito, may nagbanggit kasi na, na parang si Digong spent, parang Digong, the national budget, national debt went from 6 trillion to 13 trillion. 7 trillion pero may pandemic daw. Eh si BBM daw, 2 years pa lang, umakit na ng another 4 trillion. Did you hear about this? Somebody's spinning this right now eh. Lumalabas sa social media. And the problem is, nobody bothered to check. The fact is, the national debt did not go up by 4 trillion in 2 years. It only went up by 2 trillion. Okay? That's 1 trillion a year. I'm not defending BBM. I'm just saying, please, if you're gonna fight the fight, please be factual. Huwag fake news. Yun lang ang sa akin. Kasi si Digong, lumaki yung nagdoble, lampas doble yung ating national debt sa panahon niya, and hindi niya ginamit yung pera for the pandemic. When he borrowed 5 trillion during the pandemic, he only used 500 billion for pandemic aid. Where did the rest of the
Yeah, but that's my point,
4.5?
bro. Diyan dapat mas aggressive ang BBM team to say actually a lot of debt increase is the interest rates we're paying for what was borrowed before, including ang laki ng inutang ni Digong nung panahon
Ang
na
laki talaga.
I saw a lot of people making issue about this new $500 million for, I don't know, for healthcare system, whatever. Yeah. But they have to say, saan nagkaroon ng Farmali? Saan nagkaroon ng mga scandal after scandal inside Department of Health? It was panahon ni Digong. So I just wonder why they're not doing that. They're not more aggressively. Hukayan talaga yan, di ba? Like, bago ka magsalita sa akin, tignan muna natin ginawa mo nung 6 years na sa poder ka, di ba? Tapos anak mo pa, may 2 years pa dito. Eh, di tignan natin. So I just feel ang daming pwedeng atake. So you're allowing the Duterte camp to still dictate the terms of the debate where I think dapat in reality it should have been much more patas. But having said that, bro, there are certain serious issues. The PhilHealth issue.
Yeah.
I'm glad Supreme Court eventually came in. We had Justice Carpio on my show the other week to discuss that. My TRO na finally. And then you had Chelo Magno, a couple of people looking at the budget. Nakita ko nga, I saw a weird thing na parang Ann Curtis, I don't know if that's true, Ann Curtis saying something political based on, hindi ko alam, si Pinoy Tapsilog or some DDS guy who said something based on Chelo Magno. Parang, wait lang, that's quite a realignment. Like a celebrity commenting on a DDS using a yellow critic of BBM. Like, whoa, where is this going? You know what I'm saying? Like, dapat ingat din yung opposition, ha? Like, attack BBM all you want. Wala akong problema. But always put it in the context. BBM is doing this, but we had it even worse during Digong. Dapat ganun yung argument. Kung talaga ganun yung argument. And for me, ganun yung argument on many issues. From DepEd to DOH, I can raise about a lot of kapalpakan nung panahon ni Digong. So, that's where that reference point is very,
Yes.
very important.
Yeah, that's why nga, for me, kahit nasabihin natin I do have my issues with BBM, by the way. So, like, pero
100%.
pag may issue kay BBM, ito lang, for example, you talk about flood control nga. Listen, that flood control issue nga was during the time of Duterte pa rin. And at the end of the day, for me, both of them have screwed it up. As a matter of fact, all presidents have screwed up this flood control issue because ang laki talaga ng budget ng DPWH for flood control ever since. And nobody ever bothered scrutinizing this budget to find out bakit nga ba grabe pa rin yung pagbabaha natin dito sa buong Pilipinas. Ang laki-laki na nilalagay nating budget na binibigay sa DPWH for flood control. So it's not an administration issue, but the administration that is going to fix it is the administration that I will actually give credit to. Because right now, wala pang administration na gumagawa nun. So magbatuhan kayong dalawa ng BBM and Duterte na ikaw may kasalanan, ikaw may kasalanan. Lahat kayo may kasalanan. Yun ang sa akin yan with the flood control issue. Okay?
So
Next,
that's why we need
yung isang issue
like,
naman when it comes to sinasabi nila na
no, that's
like
what
who?
I'm saying. We need people like Heidi Mendoza types in Senate. Tama yung sinasabi ng followers na you need people who are auditors who know how to check this because you're not gonna expect BBM, to be really 100% into auditing and all of that. So you need really pros, progressives who are good in auditing, who work for COA to really flag and expose itong mga anomalies, mga kung sino-sino contractor na kumita dyan sa floodgate projects na yan.
Yep, I agree with you that. And by the way, ito pa. So the other issue that we have right now is not just the flood control that they're trying to throw at BBM to say na, oh, ikaw may kasalanan nito. I mean, let's face it, the flood control problem in Davao is a big problem. And that's because of the Duterte administration and local administration that's been in power in Davao since 1986. And yet, may problema kayo sa flooding, tapos binibintang nyo si BBM. Medyo ang labo lang nun. Kasi hanggang ngayon, mga Duterte pa rin ang namumuno sa Davao, yet binibintang nyo si BBM sa flood control. Even VP Sara was weird to say na si BBM may kasalanan kaya may flood tayo sa Davao. Sandali lang, kuya mo, ang kapatid mo, ang mayor nun ah. At yung isa naman yung governor. Tapos sinasabi mo may problema yung national government. Tapos hindi sila binintang pa niya yung national government na hindi daw marunong mag-manage. Wait a minute. Kapatid mo yung mayor? What are you talking about? So, yun yung tama ka doon when you say that they are dictating the narrative. And BBM needs to have his own troll army to make sure to, throw that narrative out there, the right narrative. And that's what I think he's not doing enough of. Yun ang nakikita ko. And but if I were to be critical, Richard, you don't have your mic on, by the way. I don't know if that was intentional or
No,
not.
no, no,
So,
it's okay, sir. I just have to release it to mine. Don't worry. It has,
okay. So, and I'm gonna add this, if I were to criticize lang, because I do have my criticisms of BBM, ito lang yun para sa akin. Yung PhilHealth na yan is a big issue with me. Kasi nga, itong si Ralph Frecto, na I actually don't think he's a bad guy, but I do think what he did was not ethical. Kasi nga, even though that budget did not come from member contributions, that did come from the national budget. Once you put it in PhilHealth, you keep it in PhilHealth. Ganun lang ka-basic. Unless gusto nyo palitan yung batas, then until magawa yon, please follow the rules. Do not circumvent the rules. Yun ang sa akin, number one. Number two, problemado na nga tayo with PhilHealth. Alam mo ba, how many of our kababayans can't even afford proper medical care? Napupunta pa sila, maghihingi, manlilimo sa ating mga
the
kongresista o
mayor,
sa ating
ganun.
mga
Yeah.
governors para makakuha ng para makakuha ng tulong sa kanilang proper healthcare na, in my opinion, that should be a right to every
Human right yun. Yeah,
Filipino.
it should be a human right. It should be a human right. Speaking of human
Di
rights,
ba?
access to good healthcare should be
So, nasanay kasi tayo mga Pilipino na nanghihingi, makakatok sa congressman natin, sa governor natin. Alam po nyo, abangan nyo ang panahon na hindi na kayo kailangan kumatok sa pinto ng kongresista para humingi ng tulong sa mga usapang pangkalusugan. Kasi ang mangyayari dito, if we get the right government in place, punta ka na ng ospital and it's all paid for. Punta kang emergency room, you're not rejected. Hindi nila sabihin, may pambayad ka ba? Wala, I will take care of you dahil the government has money for this because we do have the money. PhilHealth alone, my God, tignan mo yung reserve
we have
fund
the
nila.
money,
Ang
bro.
laki.
Kasi, you know how I can say that? Because Vietnam and Indonesia were able to have universal healthcare when they had lower per capita than us today. Our per capita now is almost $5,000. Indonesia built it when there were only $3,000.
Oh,
So, there's no way at our
see?
level of development we shouldn't have a proper healthcare. Because I know countries poorer than us, or when they were poorer, they already established it. So something is wrong here. Hindi kulang ng pera, pare.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So this BS that's why I hated Duterte during the time of his administration when he kept repeating the line na wala na tayong pera just to justify him borrowing money. We had the money. And what did he do with that money? He borrowed a lot of BS money and gave it to all his cronies. Yan yung ginawa niya. Instead of pumunta sa mga tao na nangangailangan nun, he gave it to all his cronies and we are all paying for it. Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng mataas na inflation dito sa Pilipinas. Okay, dahil po kay Duterte. Alalahanin nyo, in 2018, 2019, compared mo to today, prices have gone more than double. Okay? Dahil din
Pero
kay
bro, ang
Duterte.
sasabihin kasi nila is, oh, nagkaroon ng pandemic and all. But I'll say this again. Yes, nagkaroon ng pandemic, but why did we do worse than all our neighbors? Vietnam
Yep.
had economic growth during pandemic. We had 5 quarters of recession. What in the concept of worst don't they understand? Now, why did we do poorer than all our Southeast Asian neighbors? We had 9.6% GDP contraction. Ganon kapalpak si Digong. So, yung excuse nila na pandemic, yeah, sure. We didn't expect 10% growth. Pero why almost 10% contraction? Yun ang hindi nila ma-explain kasi palpak talaga sila. But then again, why are BBM people not using that? Because that's a fact. They can use yung diyan ako nahinaan sa kanila, parang literally mahina sila in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, like there's so much content there to use against the other side. I don't know what's going on.
Pero alam mo ano, like my God, kaya natatawa nga ako when I hear people, some of the people that bash me, they say to me, bayaran ka lang. How I wish bayaran nga talaga ako or ikaw, di ba? Let's give them good political advice because sometimes I wonder how
Kasi
they do
libre
these
tayo
political
nag-advise
moves.
eh. Libre.
Yeah.
Kami ni
So,
Ronald, parang libre lang sa amin. Wala appointment, wala ano. Talagang para sa bayan lang ginagawa namin.
pero ito pa isa. One big B5 with BBM administration, the Maharlika Fund. Alam mo talaga, I really hated the fact that they steamrolled that into to actually enact it. And even until now, where are they investing the money? They don't know where to invest the money. They don't even know how to put it together. And not only
Kasi
that,
nga
the
bro,
head.
nagkaroon ng pushback. Hindi bro. Kung hindi nag-ingay ng tao, hindi tayo nag-criticize, ay nako, may Mambo Jumbo Maharlika Fund na yan, yung parang 1MDB style. So actually, the reason na naging zombie yung Maharlika Fund is dahil ang dami nag-ingay. So natakot.
Ah,
So you know what I'm saying? It's
okay.
like an expensive car that was bought under dodgy circumstances or something, and then sa dami nagsalta, di na ginamit, nakatenga lang sa parking. Doesn't make it okay, but it just shows that it's that nakikinig or natatakot sila sa public opinion. Otherwise, that Ferrari would have been 10 Ferraris by now. I'm just telling.
Right.
So actually, that's the lesson. Remember, the first version, BBM was supposed to lead the Maharlika Fund. And then they
Yep.
keep on editing and editing and editing. Look at all the Stella Kimbo versions. Because nagingay tayo, kaya sabi ko sa mga kababayan natin, even if matalo yung kandidato niya sa election, okay lang yan. Lumaban naman kayo after election. Kasi kung organize ka naman kayo sa elections, matatakot din mga politiko na yan unless ang pangalan nila ay Rodrigo Duterte. That's the difference with Digong. Wala siyang pake. He will just do his own thing. He doesn't follow the constitutional order. That's where BBM is less of a threat because he still works within the constitutional parameters that overthrow his father, right? So kaya nga sabi mo
Right.
si Lele Claudio, it's a worked in one sense that even a Marcos is scared to overthrow that constitutional order. With one exception, Digong. He's the only one who didn't give a heck to the constitutional order. He just did his own thing. So imagine if one more Duterte were the president now, tapos na usapan, wala na. Wala na.
Yeah.
So, BBM, ironically, kind of saved that, yes, corrupt, problematic, but nevertheless, constitutional democratic order.
But also, I think that kasi with BBM, again, I'll give praise for praises do siguro lang ano in this case ano na meron pa siyang hiya. At like you said, may takot siya. May takot siya sa tao. And I'm going to make this statement, ano, Richard, that a lot of people kasi think that the powerful are actually the leaders. Yung ating mga pinuno ang may kapangyarihan. Alalahanin niyo kung saan ang mga taong makapangyarihan, saan nila nakukuha yung kanilang tunay na kapangyarihan. Sa mga masses, sa mga tulad natin, sa mga Pilipino, sa karamihan, sa collective. Yun, nila nakukuha yung kanilang kapangyarihan. That's why malakas si Kibuloy is because pinagmamalaki niya meron siyang 8 million followers na lumalabas ngayon, 8,000 lang pala. Pero nung akala ng tao marami yun, may kapangyarihan si Kibuloy. Pero nung na-realize ng PNP na 8,000 lang yan, wala yan, kaya nila. Kaya ang INC malakas kasi pinagmamalaki nila meron silang mga milyong-milyong followers na kaya, they're basically kingmakers at any point. So, yun yung kapangyarihan si ano pangalan na si Felix Manalo ba yun? Whoever the head of INC is because of the people, the collective. Ito mas sabi ko, you want power, you get that power back from kung sino yung mga sinusuportahan niya. You let them know kung ano yung ayaw nyo at anong gusto nyo. Makikinig yan mga yan sa kolektibo. Pero kung wala nun, then at least we all have to form our collectives. The problem is people like Risa Hontiveros, for example, ayaw nila magkaroon na itong parang blind loyalty na sumusunod lang sa kanila. Yun ang problem. But it's a double-edged sword because she doesn't want or thrive or need that validation and that loyalty from her followers. She can't use that same power to be able to push her forward. Pero that's what makes her a good leader.
But yun nga eh, that was, for me, that was the biggest critic of Obama. Because remember how Obama excited so many people when he ran for office? And then once he was in office, hindi niya na-mobilize yung base niya. Now, his explanation was, ayoko maging race war yan. Because if I
Yes.
mobilize an African-American progressive base, you're going to trigger a civil war situation. But by not doing that, he gave the opportunity to Trump to create his MAGA movement. which built on Sarah
Yes.
Palin and Tea Party. So, kaya nga sabi ko, once you enter politics, yun na yun. Talagang, if you don't do it, someone else will do it and worse than you. Or for
Yeah,
the
but
wrong reason. Kaya nga,
yeah,
tama
but
ka eh.
no, but please, ano, sige, but what I'm saying lang, Richard, kasi is this Obama didn't mobilize them for the right reasons because nga, the autocrats, the authoritarians will want to divide. And hey, eto tayo, magkakasama tayo, itong mga kalaban, that's the tactic of authoritarians. Right? And the true democratic leaders do not want that. They're trying to be more unifying nga eh. They're trying to be more inclusive. They want everyone to be on board. That's why they don't want this blind loyalty. Where authoritarians demand blind loyalty because that's where they get the power from the blind loyalty of the people. Yung mga Marcos forever or mga DDS pa rin kami. Parang ganun, blind loyalty. That's where they get the
But bro, there
power.
should be a midpoint eh. So historically, many people say the right example there should be someone like Roosevelt, right? So if you look at the New Deal in the US, which completely revolutionized the American system, before that US was more like Philippines. Walang kwenta yung estado, oligarchs, all that essentially what the whole Gilded Age, oligarchs, robber barons, in charge. What Roosevelt did was he mobilized people, labor unions, among other things. So unfortunately, bro, inevitable that you have to have warm bodies on the streets to keep the bad people honest. Now, obviously, there's always a risk that you go into this demagogic, I don't know, Venezuela thing. But if you don't do it, limited yung power mo, bro. Kasi yung masasamang oligarchs, they're gonna use courts. They're gonna corrupt judges. They're gonna corrupt legislators. They're gonna corrupt media. So it's very tricky. I completely understand where you're coming from because you don't want Hugo Chavez situation to happen. But I think Roosevelt, among other leaders, I can talk about Swedish models, I can talk about German
Mm-mm.
models. You need pa rin to mobilize eh. And mobilize these people not because ikaw yung Führer nila. Mobilize people because you have a shared movement towards a certain goal. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not about Riza trolls coming out. It's about people who believe in what Riza represents coming out. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
I heard a lot of criticism about kakamping and all na, eto mga to ay Lenny, fanatic, ganun. Well, there are always going to be some minority crazy people in any camp, unfortunately. And, I've been trolled by all sides for that reason. But the vast majority, almost 99% of kakampings, are there because of what Lenny represents. Hindi naman yung kulto-kulto na ganyan. So, I think Riza can do even a more depersonalized and more issue-based version of that. Because if you don't do that, kakainin ka ng kabila eh. That's really how politics works. Okay, if you don't know how to create movements, you're not going to create long-lasting change, brother. That's really what
Right.
politics is all about. If you want real change, you have to create movements. And movements that are not treating you like a demigod, but movements that just treat you as a temporary vehicle for social mobilization and change. And then even if wala ka na sa eksena, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung laban. Yun yung kilusan talaga kailangan, pare. Kilusan, ha? Hindi kulto. Kilusan. Yun ang pagkakaiba ng kilusan at kulto. Sa kulto, it's only about one person. Führer, Trump, whatever. But sa kilusan, it's about issues. And then it happens now, it's Riza, tomorrow is Chel, I don't know, tomorrow is another one. So yun yung medyo kulang sa atin, pare, yung kilusan eh, yung konsepto ng kilusan, yung paniniwala natin sa kilusan. At kung malakas ang kilusan mo, may laban ka talaga, kayang-kaya mo lumaban, hindi mo kailangan pera kasi may volunteers ka na. You have
Mhm.
essentially a free troll army who will troll for the good reason. Yun ang kailangan natin. Kaya sabi ko yung maliliit na ginagawa natin vlogs dito, sa akin palagay kasama ito sa kilusan eh. Hindi pa
Yes.
nabubuo itong kilusan na yan, pero papunta tayo dyan. Naniwala ako na may malaking oportunidad natin na magkaroon ng isang kilusan na base sa critical thinking, patriotism, pagmamahal sa bayan, at hindi lang blind partisanship. And that's why I appreciate this conversation and collaboration with you, bro.
Well, how about this? I think that when you talk about basing your politics on principles over personalities, that's what the party list is doing, isn't it? What do you think?
Yes, but that's why you have a party list na fake, na trapo, and then you have a real
Yun
party
lang.
list. You have a real party list like Akbayan, right? So if you look at Akbayan, where Risa comes from, that's isang kilusan yan. Naniniwala kay Risa, pero hindi lang kay Risa lang. Nagbi-build na sila ng next generation leader, si Paeng, among others, di ba? So dapat makakilus. Ako naman, Dahil medyo tropical country tayo, hindi mawala yung medyo emotionality. I know it's gonna sound orientalizing, but ako, base sa pag-intindi ko, we are kind of a Latin Asian culture. So, hindi pwede walang personality politics at all. It's more
Mhm.
like, parang DJ yan, di ba? Itaas mo ng konti ito, ibaba mo ng konti ganun, yung bass, yung ganun. So, itaas mo yung ideology, ibaba mo ng konti ng personality politics, tapos makuha mo yung tamang timpla, yun na yun. Hindi pwede zero sum. Ang problema kasi nung iba, purong ganyan lang eh. Purong personality, halos walang ideological coherence. But I'll tell you what, I think Duterte had some ideological element. Not coherence, but element. There was something, some would say, proto-fascist almost about him.
Yeah.
This kind of, violence and action is the solution to all problems. Wala na akong pake sa due process rules. That's a kind of an ideology. It's a very problematic, deadly idea, but it's an ideology. So,
Yes.
hindi personality cult lang si Digong, yung Dutertismo, yung tinatawag na Dutertismo. So, I think dapat may pangtapat ka kung saan mixture siya ng ideology, but also personal inspiration. So, I think Lenny shows us that mahalaga pa rin yung personality. Naiwala ka doon sa tao. There has to be a face to the issue. There has to be a face doon sa kilusan. But hindi lang pwede purong face lang at pa-cute lang at walang nangyayari. Hindi rin pwede ganoon. So it's getting that alchemy right. I think yun yung challenge. But that's what we have to focus on.
Yeah. And right now naman, I think that it's starting to happen, that people are starting to be more focused on issues. I believe that now that people, nagising na yung mga tao, nabuklat na yung mga mata natin, nakikita na nga natin na, uy, tama, dami nga mga informasyon ngayon, maraming fake news at kailangan tayo mag-isip-isip na. Kaya nga ngayon yung mga tao may pushback na sa mga nakikita nila online. As a matter of fact, kaya nga nahihirapan yung mga trolls ngayon eh. Dahil my God, stressful ang buhay nila. Kasi pag nagpo-post sila, kahit gumawa sila ng fake na engagement supporting their view, maraming pushback talaga ngayon from real people, real Filipinos that are saying, hoy, mali ka dyan, anong pinagsasabi mo? Bobo ka talaga, mga ganon. Yung mga ganong bardagulan, importante yon dahil mapapakita mo na ito troll, pakita mo na naman yung isang troll na to, ganon. And honestly, right now, pag makita mo, parang we're going back to our sensibilities and our decency. I'll tell you a really interesting metric for this in the coming elections in 2025. If Digong loses to Carlo Nograles in Davao, then wala na ang mga Duterte. Goodbye na yan in 2028. Wala na yan. Kung matalo si Digong. Will he lose or not? I don't know. But I am seeing a lot of support for Nograles. Maybe I'm in an echo chamber. I don't know. But even the people that are on commenting on my video about Nograles and Duterte, I would challenge them. Sabi sa akin, biased daw ako that I only said the bad parts about Duterte. Sabi ko, well, how about you tell me the good parts para
Yeah,
I
one
learn.
more. Sabi mo, iyakin lang kayo. Last part I want to discuss. Actually, I didn't manage to mention it kanina. Dapat sa second part of discussion natin. But let me also add now, one of the things that came out dun sa mga vlogs and discussion natin last week is, actually, mahirap i-impeach si Sara because based on what we saw in the Senate, we might not get the 16 or 2/3 majority. But interestingly, panahon pa lang ni Digong, sinabi ni Menardo Guevara, back then the back then Justice Secretary, now, sabi niya, vice presidents don't have absolute immunity. So, even if Sara doesn't get impeached, if she's found culpable of certain, high crimes or abuses, that could disqualify her from running in 2028. And for me, that's just as bad as impeachment. In a sense that she's just going to be an empty shell until 2028. And if she cannot run, wala, tapos na sila kasi sinong tatakbong presidente? Baste. He cannot even run for mayor right now. Pulong, Digong, seriously? 2028? So,
Not gonna win.
actually vulnerable sila. I mean, everyone talks about impeachment. And speaking of impeachment, I think sa kakasalita namin ng impeachment, si Sara nag-respond dati. So, there were times we dictated the terms. But actually, I was thinking about it. Sara could be deprived from, she could be disqualified from a run if she were to be found culpable of violating serious, including graft or whatever. So, hindi pa, so, I'm just saying people are looking at it as, oh, it's a numbers game, paano sa Senado. Well, actually, she could be disqualified. So, she could still stay, not be impeached, but she could be disqualified. And that's a legal process, not a political process like impeachment. So, I'm just saying, marami pa rin weapons si BBM eh. So,
Yes.
how do we know, bro? Maybe he's the Machiavelli. Maybe we are the hot-blooded, Bros, podcast bros. Maybe he's really thinking of something big later on. So I don't know. Be open to surprises, brother. Thank you so much.
Well,
That
so
was
far,
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, well, so far so good naman talaga with what BBM's doing. And you know, one thing that I like with his strategy, whether it's intended or not, is he doesn't say his next move. Lahat to, he keeps his cards close to his chest. Magaling yun. Ngayon, I don't know if, you know, if it's intentional or inadvertent. I don't know. Pero magaling. Yung, ano, at saka magagaling nga yung mga generals niya, yung mga nakapaligid sa kanya. Yun ang mga nagpapatakbo na to. They're very good. Ngayon,
Yeah, sabi
um,
ko, kuting, even if he's kuting, may mga tigre sa paligid.
yeah. Oo, no? Kahit nga anak niya, mas matapang pa kaysa sa kanya eh, di ba?
That was great, brother. That was great. I really enjoyed it as always. I can see a lot of people enjoying this discussion. Let's do this. Hopefully every week, either end of the week or beginning of the week, let's have a discussion like this to set para we set the agenda. Kakabala mukha natin. Let's manipulate mga ganun. Yeah, joke lang. Gawa sa troll farm yan. All right, bro. Thank you so much. That was great. I think we covered a lot. And I think there's even more to discuss in the coming weeks and months. And especially as we get closer to elections, more than happy to get your point of view on the ground. Paano ang anong feeling na tumatakbong counselor dyan sa Mandaluyong? Pero bro, pakisabi kay Abalos, palitan niya yung ano niya, yung kalaban at kalaban.
Yes, oo nga eh.
Ang liit
I,
ng
I
ang
actually,
mga kalaban kriminal, yun lang makikita mo. Abalos, hindi yung ang mga like,
andun pa ba yung poster na yun? I think he
it's
took it
like,
down na.
that
I
was
didn't see
like the
any.
worst stuff I've seen. Di, meron pa rin dun sa digital. Di ba may digital sa EDSA? Lumalabas pa rin. Kalaban,
I'm gonna,
kriminal, Abalos. Like, nasan yung ang mga, like, ang lead-lead kasi nung fan. Grabe naman nangyari.
I'm definitely gonna check on that to find out.
The blooper of the month, pare. On that note, thank you so much, Chris Stan, for this fantastic conversation. Please don't forget to follow Chris Stan on his different channels and all. Coach Chris Stan, and continue to also follow us and support us here. Bro, is there anything you want to share before we wrap up this year, this week's opening statement
No,
podcast?
that's it. I'm just excited to hear from everyone. I love reading the comments, good and bad. I read all. Richard, ikaw yung nagre-reply sa mga yun. Congratulations to you. And yeah, let's continue this. And everyone, please keep an open mind lagi. Even if we don't agree, it's okay. It's good to have these discussions. And I always love pushback. All right, and that's it for me. So thanks everyone for watching tonight.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I mean, I don't know if correct me wrong. I saw almost 100% positive comments, or at least not any troll comments at all. So maybe we're doing something right after all. Maybe.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you. God bless, bro.
All right,
Talk to you soon.
take care. All right, good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay.